Alright, so we're going to clean some windows. I'm going to go through a walkthrough, explain the water-fed pole brush that we use and the whole system from start to finish. So this is one of our poles. This cleaning is called water-fed pole cleaning because we're actually going to feed our water through the pole. It's going to come out the end of our brush here, and that's all we use. There's no chemicals involved, there's no soap, it's just super purified water. The filtration system's on our truck makes it so pure that there's no impurities in the water, so that whenever we use it to clean with, it literally takes all the dirt and grime off with it. We don't need any soaps. So first off, we've got our extension pole. These can be extended by releasing one of these brackets here and then locking it down. And then if we need a little bit more reach, unlock another one, so on and so forth. Keep pulling it out until we get as tall as we want. We're working on the first story here, so I don't need any extra length today. Then here on the end of the brush, or the end of the pole, we got this small, I believe this is a 3/8 or maybe quarter inch hose that feeds up through the pole. And then this plugs straight into our over-the-top rinse bar. This rinse bar is nice because it's got a bunch of holes. It's got to spray the water up over the top of the brush. With these fittings here, this hose, this is just called a push fitting. So you just can pull back on this little red plastic part of the fitting and it will release this hose. So there's no tightening of anything. All you got to do is literally just push it into that fitting. Now it's stuck. Okay? On the brush here, we use a couple different types of brush. This one is an all boar's hair brush, so it's pretty coarse. It's really good for when you have to do a little bit of extra scrubbing, if you have some bird droppings or whatever on the window. This boar's hair is good for scrubbing. We also have this one here. This is called a hybrid brush. So it's got nylon bristles around the outside and it's got some boar's hair in the middle for scrubbing. Both will work just fine for what we're doing today. Then off the back side here we have the scrubber. So this is a walnut shell scrubber pad, so it will not harm the glass or scratch the glass, but if we again notice that the window's got some extra bird droppings or whatever on it, we can flip the brush around and use this pad to scrub and help knock some of that loose. I think that's about it. Oh, so as far as this brush goes too, we've got a couple different options of where we can feed the water from. This over-the-top rinse bar is what we use most of the time. But you'll also see we've got some hoses going in here in the middle of the brush, and these are called pencil jets, and they actually will feed right out from the inside of the brush there. So let's say for whatever reason we didn't want to use the over-top rinse bar on this job, or let's say it broke or something, we've got another option. I can just take this hose, push in that push fitting, and then feed it into this one down here. And now instead of the water feeding out of our over-the-top rinse bar, it's going to come right out the middle of the brush in 4 pencil jets. Now whenever we're scrubbing these windows, we want the brush to be in full contact with the glass. And what I mean by that is, as opposed to the brush sitting like this at this angle when I'm scrubbing, we want the brush to be straight on, flat with the grass, contacting all the glass with all the bristles, and get a good scrub that way. So if we are, let's say right here at this angle, it's really easy to hold this and keep the brush flush to the glass. But let's say we're doing a 2-story and we have to back up a long ways and it's going to make our pole at a different angle. We've got this, what's called a gooseneck. We can loosen this nut right here, and you can see how this will change. We can adjust it to a different angle depending on the height of the window that we're cleaning or the angle that we have to get on it. So we want to make sure that we're utilizing this and adjusting it as need be, so that we're not cleaning glass with the brush at a weird angle like that. We want the brush to be flush with glass. I think that's it as far as describing that. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to show you how we start up the system. So come over here real quick. This is our inverter that's on the truck, and this is what usually powers the booster pump, okay? So this is the cord that's normally plugged into the inverter to power the booster pump. This thing is not strong enough to power both at one time, so we have to choose one or the other. We're done with the job, we're finished washing the building, let's say, now it's time to wash windows. So we would pull out the booster cord, plug in the pump that powers our window cleaning filtration unit. So we'll start this up, And as soon as we do, the only other thing that we've got to do to start up the pump is this little switch right here. Leave that in the off position. And once we power up the inverter, we'll flip this switch, and that'll give us power to our water-fed pole pump, and we'll see water. They'll start coming out the end of our blue hose. So this is drawing water straight from our water tank on our truck. So we've got our water flowing through here. Next thing we want to do is we want to make sure that our filter system is actually filtering out all the particulate that we want. So we've got what's called a TDS meter. TDS stands for total dissolved solvents. So we're going to see how much total dissolved solvents is left in this water here. Usually it can take a few minutes for the filter system to take out all the particulate that we want. We'll go ahead and test it now. All I got to do is hit the power button on this. I'm going to take the little cap that comes with it, put a little bit of water in there, shove the sensor down in there, and you can see that top number is at a 3. And that's good to go. We really want it just to be under 12 in order to leave the windows pure. See, it jumped up to 4 there, but that's still really good. Let's see if it changed now that it's been a little bit longer. Again, I don't have to hit anything else. I just submerge it into the cap. And now we're down to 0 ppm, which is parts per million. It looks like it jumped up to a 1. But that's really, really good pure water, and it's going to do a great job of cleaning our window here. So I'm going to shut that off. I'm going to take this hose here, it's hooked to the bottom of this pole, and I'm just going to thread this on. It's just a regular garden hose fitting. I'm going to open this back up. We've got a splitter on here because in a minute we're actually going to be able to run 2 poles off of this, but I'm just going to start with 1. So now I'm going to send that flow to the end of my pole here. We can see it's coming out of the over-the-top rinse bar really nicely. Give it a minute to work its way through that big long red hose we have. So I'm going to start off by adjust this angle because I am standing really close to this window. Loosening this nut. Alright, so first things first is I'm just going to get the window and frame nice and wet. I'm going to start at the top of the window here. And I'm just going to box in the whole window. So I'm going to go across the top, making sure the top of the glass is getting nice and wet. The bristles are coming in contact there. Then I'm going to start coming down the sides. Making sure that my brush is staying flush with the glass. So when I say box them in, that means I'm just going around the whole outside of the window first, making sure that I get my bristles down into the corners and all along the side of the window. Okay, now I've gone around the whole outside. Now I just need to fill it in. I need to tighten up my brush here. It looks like it's wiggling just a little bit. Make sure my gooseneck is really tightened down. So now I'm just going over the middle of the glass. Overlapping my brush. We're just loosening all of the debris, all the dirt and stuff that's on the glass, and this purified water is going to rinse it all away. Last step is to bring the water to the very top of the glass. Give the glass a good rinse top to bottom. is off. That window's done. I'm on to the next one. The only other thing I'll say is that if we had windows that were directly above these, which we do have some small ones up here, we want to make sure to wash the top windows first and give those a chance to drip down before we start washing a window underneath. Because if there was a window right above this one and I washed it and it was wet dripping down and I immediately moved to this one here, I may have some particulate, some dirty water that's rinsing off that window up top, and it will then just run down onto this window that I'm trying to clean. So we want to wash a window that's directly above the others, give it a chance to drip dry before we come back to the windows that are directly underneath. Okay? I think that wraps it up.